The taxi dropped me off in front of the Hotel Cişmigiu in Bucharest, Romania. The Art Nouveau facade of the building, once majestic, now showed clear signs of decay. I swallowed hard, adjusting the strap of my backpack on my shoulder. Lena, an American investigative journalist, had come to unravel the mysteries surrounding this historic place. The gray autumn sky seemed to press down on the hotel, as if wanting to crush it. A cold wind blew, carrying dead leaves and whispers of a long-forgotten past. I took a deep breath, smelling the mold and antiquity emanating from the building. As I entered the lobby, I was greeted by an oppressive silence, broken only by the sound of my footsteps on the worn marble floor. The air was heavy, laden with untold stories and buried secrets. Dusty chandeliers hung from the high ceiling, their dim lights barely managing to push back the shadows that seemed to gather in the corners. At the reception desk, an old man with deep-set eyes watched me. His name was Dragos, as indicated by the name tag on his faded uniform. "Welcome to the Hotel Cişmigiu, miss," he said, his voice raspy like sandpaper. "I hope your stay will be memorable." Something in his tone made me shiver, but I brushed the feeling aside. I was a journalist, after all. I was here for facts, not to be swayed by superstitions. "Thank you," I replied, forcing a smile. "I'm here to write a piece about the hotel's history. Especially about the incident." Dragos's eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly. "Ah yes. The girl in the elevator. A terrible accident, really." "Was it really an accident?" I asked, my journalistic instincts kicking in. Dragos only smiled, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Your room is ready, miss. Room 237, on the second floor. Enjoy your stay." I took the key, an old and heavy piece that felt cold to the touch. As I turned towards the elevators, Dragos spoke again. "Oh, and miss? I would recommend using the stairs. The elevators can be unpredictable." A chill ran down my spine as I climbed the creaking stairs. The second-floor corridor was dimly lit, the bulbs flickering intermittently. The wallpaper, once elegant, was now peeling, revealing dark stains on the wall underneath. My room was a time capsule, trapped somewhere between the 1930s and 1960s. The wrought iron bed, the massive mahogany wardrobe, the full-length mirror in the corner, all exuded an aura of melancholic decay. I placed my backpack on the bed and began unpacking my equipment: camera, recorder, notebook. I was determined to uncover the truth behind the legends surrounding this place. As night fell, I began my investigation. The empty corridors echoed with my footsteps as I explored the hotel. Every corner seemed to hide a secret, every shadow an untold story. It was when I reached the elevator shaft that things started to get strange. The air there was colder, almost icy. As I examined the old elevator doors, I heard a sound, a whisper so faint I almost thought it was my imagination. "Help me." I froze, my heart racing. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling slightly. "Is someone there?" Silence. Then suddenly, a metallic clang echoed from the elevator shaft, making me jump back. The doors groaned open, revealing the empty, dark cabin. I swallowed hard, my hand trembling as I reached for my recorder. If there's someone there," I spoke into the void, "please give me a sign." For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, a cold mist began to form inside the elevator cabin. My blood ran cold as the mist started to take shape, the indistinct silhouette of a young girl. Who are you?" I stammered, barely believing what I was seeing. The figure solidified a bit more, and I could see the face of a girl, not much younger than me. Her eyes were filled with infinite sadness. "My name is Andrea," she whispered, her voice echoing in a way that didn't seem entirely of this world. "I died here." My entire body trembled, but I forced myself to stay composed. This was the story I had come for, after all. "Are you The student who died in the elevator accident? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Andrea nodded slowly. It wasn't an accident, she said, her eyes filling with ethereal tears. I was murdered. My blood ran cold at her words. Murdered? By whom? Why? But before Andrea could answer, I heard footsteps approaching rapidly down the corridor. I turned, only to see Dragos running towards me, his eyes wide with panic. Get away from the elevator, he shouted. It's not safe. When I turned back, Andrea was gone, leaving only a trace of cold air where she had been. Dragos grabbed my arm, pulling me away from the elevator. You shouldn't be here, he said, his voice trembling. There are things in this hotel that are better left undisturbed. But I couldn't leave it alone. Not now that I knew there was more to Andrea's story than a simple accident. In the days that followed, I delved deeper into the dark history of the Hotel Cişmigiu. I discovered that Andrea wasn't the only lost soul wandering the corridors. There were others, guests who never checked out, staff who died during their shifts, victims of unsolved crimes. Each night brought new revelations, new horrors. I saw shadows moving on their own, heard voices whispering in the walls. The mirror in my room sometimes reflected faces that weren't mine. But it was Andrea who intrigued me the most. She appeared to me in flashes, in the reflection of a window, in the steam of the bathroom, in the shadows of the corridor. Each time, she tried to tell me more about her death, but something always stopped her. It was on my 5th night in the hotel that things came to a head. I was in my room, reviewing my notes, when I heard an agonizing scream coming from the corridor. I ran outside, only to see Dragos dragging a spectral figure towards the elevator. Stop! I shouted, running after them. Dragos turned, his eyes glowing with a supernatural light. You don't understand, he growled. I have to keep them here. It's the only way. I realized with horror that the figure he was dragging was Andrea. She reached out to me, her eyes pleading for help. What are you doing? I demanded, my heart pounding in my chest. Maintaining the balance, Dragos replied, his voice shifting into something older, more powerful. This hotel, it feeds on them. On the lost souls. If they leave, all of this will collapse. In that moment, I understood the terrible truth. The Hotel Cişmigiu wasn't just a building, it was a living entity, feeding on the suffering and despair of the souls trapped within it. And Dragos was its keeper, keeping the souls bound to sustain the hotel's existence. Let her go, I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. Let them all go. Dragos laughed, a sound that made the walls tremble. And who will take their place? You perhaps. Before I could react, he pushed me. I felt the emptiness below me and realized with horror that the elevator doors were open behind me. I fell, screaming, into the dark abyss. The impact never came. Instead, I found myself floating in an infinite void, surrounded by countless flickering lights, the souls trapped in the hotel. Andrea appeared beside me, her form more solid here than it had ever been. You can free us, she said softly. But there is a price. I understood without her having to explain. To release the souls, I would have to take their place. Become part of the hotel, forever. For a moment, I hesitated. My whole life, my dreams, my career, all of that would be lost. But then I looked at the faces of the souls around me, saw their suffering, their pain. I'll do it, I whispered. The moment the words left my lips, I felt a change. My physical body disappeared, and I became pure energy, pure consciousness. With a thought, I released all the trapped souls. I watched them ascend, finally free after decades of torment. Andrea was the last to leave, casting me a look of gratitude before she disappeared. I felt the hotel tremble around me, its foundations shaken by the sudden loss of its energy source. But I held it up with my own strength, my own essence. Now, I am the Hotel Cişmigiu. I am its walls, its corridors, its rooms. I feel every guest who enters, every staff member who works here. But unlike before, I don't trap them. I don't feed on their fear or despair. Instead, I try to make their stays peaceful, their nights calm. The horror stories about the hotel gradually turned into legends of a mysterious but welcoming place. Sometimes, when the night is quiet and the stars shine over Bucharest, I think about the life I left behind. The articles I'll never write, the stories I'll never tell. But then I feel the gratitude of the souls I freed, see the peace on the faces of the guests who sleep soundly in my rooms, and I know I made the right choice. I am Lena, the journalist who came to tell a story and ended up becoming one. I am the beating heart of the Hotel Cişmigiu, its guardian and protector. And if you come to stay here, don't be afraid of the whispers in the walls or the shadows in the corners. It's just me, watching over your sleep, ensuring your stay is memorable. Welcome to the Hotel Cişmigiu. Enjoy your stay. And remember, some secrets are better left buried in the depths of history.
Astérisque astérisque astérisque.